What's up, chat? Welcome back to the stream. Today, we are live from the home of the British Motorsport. We are at Silverstone for some epic racing on F125 for 4QM and 8. This track is all about insane speed, massive commitment, and heavy downforce. The grid is packed, the drivers are ready, and I'm stepping into the commentary box to bring you every single moment of this race, of this quali. Smash the like button, lock in your predictions in the chat, and let's see who can conquer the corpse and claim victory today. Let's get right into it. As we've got Tak Molde already retired from the session with a 126.9, followed by Rhino on his teammate with a 127.615. Our fast drivers, not here for tonight, Mauri with a 127.885, representing the Alpines, and the RB with a 127.9. Not far off the pace, the top 5 actually. Right to P8, from P2 to P8, all within 6/10 of a second. Look at that gap between P6 and P7, the teammates of Aston Martin, Tak Molde and Hennas, with a mere 1/10 of a second. Not far from Teddy, the Williams. Teddy's teammate in P11, Ghost Dragon, with a 129.376. Along with Death Trap, that's sitting in P10, finishing off the top point scorers for this Grand Prix in this quali. We've got Q2, and then we'll have Q3, so it's going to be a full quali for tonight. Hope my voice holds up. Everybody in the pits now. We've got the Tak Jackets in the Mercedes on his outlap now, and then Ghost Dragon also on his outlap. He should be starting a lap after this tyre warm-up lap has concluded, and then he'll probably set himself up for a P5 or a P6. A lot of pace for Ghost Dragon these past few races. Let's head down to Tak Jacket and see where is he on track. Just finished through Maggotts and Beckett's. On his way on the back straight to the far sweep of the right-hander. Let's get ourselves some HUD here and some track details. Rhino done that lap on 3-lap-old softs, so there is still time for him with a brand new set. As Tak Jackets starts his lap, his second lap for Q2, heading down to turn 3, then 4, second gear, foot to the floor. Don't want to be rushing on the ERS, that will spin you out. On turn 5, opens the DRS, foot to the floor, up the gears, deploys the ERS on his way to turn 6, onto the brakes, down the gears, gear 4, then on our way to La Field, setting himself up for the high speed hanger straight. Turn 8, starting sector 2, on our way to Cops, then we'll hit the most iconic part of this track, Maggotts and Beckett's. The detection line for the racing will be on that white line that we just passed, the left-hander, then the right-hander, one gear down to gear 7, then gear 6, hook gear 5, feather the throttle, up the gears, opens the DRS, onto the ERS. 1,000 horsepower beneath him, being deployed, gripping the tarmac, and putting that odometer. Gear 5, gear 6, on our way to the penultimate turn. Around the 75-meter marker, you get onto the brakes, downshift to gear 3, then feather the throttle, don't want to spin out here. Watch it for the curb on the inside, and over the line with a 127.2, putting himself on the front row. What an amazing lap. That's pure Mercedes power. Let's see what the Ghost Dragon can do. Can he get into the 28s? He does. Improves by half a second. Bring himself in P10. Trading places with Death Trap. Mick on an outlap with a 128.5. 1.5 seconds off pole position, off pace. What will the Haas do? Rhino still has something up his sleeve, as that lap that put him in P2, he's currently sitting in P3, but that lap was done on 3-lap-old softs. So there is still lap time on the board for him. There is still improvement for him. Let's see what Ragnarok can do, as he's one of our top runners in Q2, on his flyer now, through maggots and beckets, down a gear, down 2 gears, feather the throttle, up the gears, deploys the ERS, deploys the DRS onto the high speed section of sector 3, the right hander, to gear 5. The fuel indicator is flashing, 75 meter marker board, full out onto the brakes, off the brakes a bit, down to gear 5, then gear 3, feather the throttle, up the gears, foot to the floor, and over the line, and improves by 0.184 of a second. Improves his time, but not his position. Let's see what his teammate can do. Death Trap. He did set a new time, 128.249. Currently sitting in P9. And that will be time for Q2 as we head down to Q3. And Ghost Dragon, if he does not improve, he will be eliminated. 0.3 of a second needed for him to advance to the next stage of this qualifying through the fast sweepers of maggots and beckets. The last demanding turn of maggots and beckets just finished off, and he goes wide onto the grass. That will be a lap invalidated, as we see the red track marker on our right bottom screen. So Ghost Dragon will not join us for Q3. He will be eliminated. And as he's angry, breaking the floor, the chassis, the suspension, name it, it's broken. Missed out Q3 by 0.5 of a second, as Mick improves his time, but not his position. Just waiting for Ragnarok to get his car properly in the pits, and then we will advance to Q3 and see who can put it on pole, who can muster every single tenth, every thousandth of a second out of a lap time, and setting themselves up for a race win here tonight for 4QM8, round 21, Silverstone. Let's just mute everyone, as we've got some background noises. So if that didn't know that could happen. Need to race director and just mute everyone. Oh, fuck off. Who will be the bravest? Who will set it up to go first out in Q3? 12 minutes at the disposal. Maybe 3 flyers, if they time it correctly. As the Haas gets in front of the Aston Martin. Stack Moldy, the first Aston Martin that's out of the pits. Will he go for aggressive tyre warm-up, or will he take it smoothly? A lot of difference in setups will be used tonight, as it's normally what happens in an online F1 league race, which will benefit some drivers and not so much for other drivers. Overtakes are going to be easier if you have a low downforce setup. That being said, if you can follow through the high demanding areas such as Laffield and Kops and Maggots and Beckett's. All of the drivers out now on an outlap wants to get this thing moved on this 5.891 kilometer circuit. Who will be our pole sitter? Who will finish off the front row? Who will be midfield in P10? We've got 10 minutes to wait and see who's the better driver for tonight in Q3. Who is more determined to get the race win, to get the better start off the line? As we get down to turn 3, turn 4, then on our way to turn 5, where the DRS activation point is situated. He opens it, opens the DRS, deploys the ERS, up the gears, deploys the 1000 horsepower beneath him, onto the throttle, not onto the brakes. Not a lot of brake needed there, as you will also slow the car down with steering, with scrubbing on that with that tire on the tarmac. Up the gears, gear 7, then gear 8. Wants to be flat out by the time he gets to Kops, the far sweeping right-hander. No gear shifts for him here. Well, he does. Gear 7 deploys the ERS. The detection zone for the Grand Prix will be on that white line he just crossed. Through Maggots, then Beckett's. The last turn will bring him down to gear 5. Opens the DRS again on the back straight. Deploys the ERS, foot to the floor, up the gears. On our way to the far sweeping right-hander of sector 3. Then the penultimate turn, the chicane coming up, 75 meter marker more, onto the brakes, down the gears, gear 3, then gear 4, feather the throttle, don't be too hasty, you will lose the back end there, and he goes over the line with a 127.427, not a bad lap, but still 0.8 of a second of pole position for Q2. We'll have to wait and see what tag fighting does. He improves his previous best by 0.2 of a second. Still something in the pockets here. Digging down deep, getting that track time, getting that pace, getting that overall speed across the fast and slow corners of this high demanding, flowing 5.891 kilometer circuit. Silverstone, one of the most iconic in Formula 1, being up there with a few famous tracks such as Monza and Monaco. As everybody will head down to the pits now and put on some fresh rubber. 7 minutes remaining. Death Trap with a 128.260. The gap between Mick and Death Trap, 300ths of a second, 3,000ths of a second between two drivers. Nauri improving in the Alpine, breaking the 27 marker with a 126.9, followed by Ragnarok with a 127.4. Not far is Stack Molding with 23 thousandths of a second behind him. Then Henas, his teammate, again not far from each other with only 40 thousandths of a second. Happy Terebe also in the mix, not far behind them, 300ths of a second. Tack Jackets 3/10, then Rhino Horn with another 3/10 of a second. 18 corners. $20 drivers. Our first race in F1 at Silverstone was held in 13 May 1950. 75 years ago. The winner of that Grand Prix was Giuseppe Nino Farino in an Alfa Romeo. Who would have thought? Rhino heading on another flyer. Fuel indicator is flashing. Will he finish the lap or will he go into the pits? Drivers will be 71% full throttle on Silverstone. Maggots and Beckett's turn 12, turn 13, then turn 14. He will deploy the DRS, and this, I think, is a flyer. What will it be? 3 seconds off his current time, so I don't think this is a flyer. This will be a in-lap, and he will peel off to the right, get himself into the pits, get a fresh set of rubber on, and head out for his final trip around Silverstone. .3 meters of elevation change for Silverstone. Almost a completely flat track. Our most obvious elevation changes will be turn 15 for the right-hander. As we've got our final part of qualifying. Still a few drivers inside the pits. Ragnarok trying to get out there and put himself on the front row. Even maybe Paul is quite far from Paul, with 1 second to make up, if it's not more. If tag fighting goes out and improves on his time, this will be a demanding lap for Ragnarok if he wants to take pole position, as he goes wide on his outlap through Kops. Mauri is still in the pits, waiting for that 2-minute marker. As he's on his outlap, all the drivers should be getting out of the pits now, as Mick is going to hold it to the last second and hope for the best of track evolution to set himself up for the best possible opportunity, the best part, where this is where the track will be at its best at the end of Q3, where the tire and the rubber has been laid down for the drivers. As the Ragnarok starts his lap, let's head down with him and see what he can do in Q1. Will he improve on the initial start for his second attempt in Q3? He managed himself to get himself as of far into P3, into Q3. What will the time say? A few hundred meters from the sector 1 line, only 0.06 of a second improvement, but this is where it counts. Lafield, then Kops, followed by Maggots and Beckett's. The technical part of this track, this is where it matters. This is where it's going to be made, and this is where it is going to be broken. after Maggots and Beckett's, we will find out, did he improve or did he fall short only a tenth of a second improvement. This will not improve his time, or this will improve his time, but not his position. He needs to get at least 5/10 of a second if he hopes to be on the front row, behind Tak Moldy, in front of Mauri. We will head down to them now as Ragnarok finishes his lap. His final turn, his final chance at Q3, 1:27.1, 2/10 of a second off the pace of P2. Aztec Fighting is finishing his lap. A few corners left for him. Just needs to finish this and hope for the best, as Mauri is not far behind him, going through Cops, then Maggots and Beckett's. Foot to the floor of the gears. The fuel indicator is flashing. 1:26.189. Another 3/10 of a second improvement for him. So this means Mauri needs to be at least 8/10 of a second faster than his previous lap to be pole position, as Rainer Horn only manages a P3, but Mauri is in for an improvement. Not a lot, 1/10 of a second if he manages to get a clean exit through the turn 14 and 15. That inside curb will spin you out. He manages to improve by almost 2/10 of a second. Not enough for P1, but he will have a run up to turn 3, where the first overtaking opportunity will be for the start of this Grand Prix. Ragnarok still on a flyer, finishing off Maggots and Beckett's. Happy Teddy Bear at turn 15, but he goes inside the pits, so we'll head back down. Mick is also on a flyer with a 1:27.8, and Ragnarok also not fancying another try over the line. Manages to improve his time with 2/10 of a second through the pits, but I don't think that will count on the board. Just hold on as we wait for the drivers to finish up their setups, to finish up all the logistics in the background, and as soon as the formation lap starts, we will get back in the commentary box. And the formation lap is on. As Tag Fighting heads down to turn 3, he wants to get this thing started. He wants to get himself that big trophy on the top step. As we've got some unusual names. On the top part of the sheet, Maori, Rhinehorn and Ragnarok. So most drivers will opt for a one-stopper. That will be faster. No softs will be used, I think, as it is not a very durable tire. Let's see what the drivers opted for. So we've got 2 soft tires, or 3 soft tires on the grid for the start of this race. Ghost Dragon, Happy Teddy Bear, the 2 Williams drivers, the 2 Williams pairs, and then Tag Fighting with another soft that has splitting the strategy. Don't want to find themselves in a predicament where both of them are in the pits at the same time. Don't want to double stack. Just sorry for that, my mic was off all the way. Tack Jacobs, medium tires, within DRS of Happy Teddy Bear. 0.6 seconds separating the two drivers, two Mercedes powered machines. Will he get the overtake time by the time we get to Brooklands? And Laffield opens the DRS, foot to the floor, opens the DRS, he deploys the ERS, but not enough for him now. He is gonna wait for the back straight. We'll get a good idea of who's got lower downforce, who's got the higher downforce for the technical part of turn 10 to turn 14. Maggots and Beckett's. 3/10 of a second, 4/10 of a second between the two drivers. Tag fighting hit with a 10-second penalty for not driving below the speed limit inside the pits. That will be a time penalty that can be served inside the pits. So it looks like Tack Jacobs he's got the lower downforce setup as he's losing a bunch of time. 3/10 of a second through Maggots and Beckett's. 10 to turn 13, then turn 14. But Tack Jacobs a bit far to behind to capitalize on the hole being hit by the Williams, as we've got a position swap for Trompy and Mick, the McLaren and the Red Bull driver, swapping on track, getting the overtake done for Trompy, as tag fighting needs to get a move on, needs to put flyer after flyer in to get himself onto the top step of the podium. 6.4 seconds as we went over the line, currently sitting at 6.6 seconds. Ghost Dragon retired from the session. Is that going to be on pit? No, yeah, on track. No, it's going to be inside the pits, so he's not looking for another long race. Maybe he's got some damage to the side pods or the floor, as we've had a major incident at turn 1. The Alpine driver of Mauri and Rhino Horn making contact, wheel to wheel bashing in turn 1, and Mauri got disqualified for facing the wrong way. Let's head back to the Mercedes and Williams pair, where they are still battling it out on track. Also Ragnarok and Reinhorn out of stow, 10-15, then 10-16, 17 on our way, 75 meter mark on board, onto the brakes, down the gears, harvesting some energy here to get yourself some ERS for the first overtaking opportunity at Brooklands. Turn 6, on our way to turn 1, then turn 2, the fast sweeping right and left handers, then our first braking path for this track, 60 meter mark aboard. You get onto the brakes, you downshift to gear 3, then feather the throttle onto the curb. It helps the car rotate onto the exit of turn 3, then turn 4, turn 5, opens the DRS, deploys the ERS, foot to the floor, and not close enough to get a overtake done in Brooklands. Then Laffield, a long hairpin, a long right-hander goes wide, then you cut it back in a double apexer. Careful to on the exit there, so that you don't drive into the gravel. That will hurt your exit, and all the way down to cops into the back, the hanger straight. This is the closest Ragnarok has been to Rhino on our way for an overtake, as he's opened the DRS. He has deployed the ERS, but yet not close enough for an overtake into turn 15. Will there be an overtake into turn 14 as they go side by side into turn 15, then turn 16, turn 17, turn 18, but a switchback was not held by the RB driver. Close racing, clean racing, and this is what we are here for. Almost the whole grid on hards except for Tack Jacobs. Not as durable as the hard, but a bit more faster. A bit of wheel spin on the exit there, on gear 4, and he goes a bit wide, scraping the undercarriage of the car on that curb as he's gaining every lap, getting closer to the Haas driver. He wants that podium position back as he's had a major oversteering situation. No, it was Tack Moldy that had some oversteer out of Kops. Oh no, it was Ragnarok. Out of Kops, downshift to gear 7. Over the detection line within 1 second. 0.5 of a second. Burns a bit of ERS here to get himself closer and a better run up out of turn 14 and closer to the Haas driver of Rhino Horn. Will he get the overtake? Will he get alongside the P3 sitter? He does manage to get alongside and he gets the overtake done into Stowe. The chicane, turn 16 and 17. Now, will there be another change for position between these two rivals? 0.8 of a second. No battery for Ragnarok. He will have to defend P3 as Rhino Horn is on the hunt for that race win. He and his teammate were on the front row when it was spoiled by the Alpine driver of Mauri. Both of them have great pace, a bit of oversteer, a bit of snap out of turn 3 and 4 for the RB driver. The sister team for Mick. Tack Jacobs trying to set up an overtake here into Brooklands, but not managing to get himself alongside the Williams of Teddy Bear. But he needs to get an overtake done as that mediums will not be with us for the whole day. It will start checking out any moment now where he will start losing grip on the left front tire, which is eating up an immense amount of pressure and scrubbing as that's your most outer part or the most outer tire. A good clean entry and exit out of turn 14, 0.5 of a second between the two drivers, 30% battery remaining, but not a lot being gained as I think Teddy Bear has got a bit more of a lower downforce setup than Tack Jacobs. Hena's not far off from Mick. He will try and get the overtake done and get himself 2 extra points, but into the pits he goes and he follows him. He says, well, I'm not getting overcut, I'm not getting gapped inside the pits. I will be joining you, getting myself some new set of hards. Tack Jacobs, 4/10 of a second. Will there be an overtake done? Ryan Horn currently losing out on Ragnarok without DRS. As we go into Brooklands, then Lafield, the hairpin corner, turn 7, then turn 8, Woodcote, still not within 1 second. He needs to break that 1 second barrier to get himself some ERS for the back straight, as the line is going to be here, and he will not have DRS for the back straight. Into Maggots and Beckets we go. Who has the better setup? Who's got the more downforce over the sideboards, over the rear? So that looks like it's gonna be Ragnarok with a higher downforce. That's why he struggled a bit on the straights, getting the overtake done. As we see Rhino easily getting 0.2 of a second on the straight there through Stowe, and Ragnarok will be trying to get a bit more out of a bit more better delta, better gap between himself and Rhino Horn as Tack Moldy and Ragnarok joins us in the pits, in the commentary box. Tack Finance still sitting with a P1 but 10-second penalty. That is Silver inside the pits, but you also can say it afterwards, after the race, which only means that no other driver may be within 10-second gap behind you. You will then lose out to that position, as Tack Jacobs is still stuck behind the Williams driver of Teddy Bear for almost 8 laps now. 9 laps. 9 laps of eating dirty air, which will be hurting his tires. 10 laps remaining, 10 drivers remaining. Everybody scoring points for tonight except the 2 drivers that couldn't finish with us. As Tack Jacobs goes a bit wide, that will hurt his run up to Maggots and Beckett's. Turn 12, turn 10, 11, then 12, 13, and then 14 on our way. Turn 14 will be the left-hander where the DRS is situated. 9/10 of a second, so the medium tyre is losing performance. I think he will be heading into the pits now and getting himself some fresh rubber for a hard. Yeah, he will be following Happy Teddy Bear into the pits. Below 60 is... Oh, and somebody hit... so Trompy hits Tack Jacobs from behind, losing his front wing. Will there be time to replace it? Yes, there will be time to replace, but he's hit with a 10-second penalty for causing a collision. Done. To the Mercedes. We'll have to wait and see, as the Delta will give us a definite answer. So the 2 has drivers. P1 and P2. Not only leading the drivers championship, or not the drivers for tonight, but also the constructors for Silverstone. Ten-lap-old hards on the Haas cars, and Hennas will be trying for an overtake there, not seeming to get alongside into Laffield, and Brooklyn Stack will be hit with a 3-second penalty. Not what he wanted to see, as he's very close to the 2 front runners, the 2 Haas drivers. As Hennas on, he's not far as we head into Maggots and Beckett's. Turn 13, then the exit of turn 14, the left hand, the activation zone for the DRS, 14% of battery remaining. 3/10 of a second to be made up. Will he get alongside? Mick does throw a defensive measure at him, but another overtaking opportunity will be into turn 15 and 16. Sorry, I beg your pardon, 16 and 17. Goes a bit wide, compromises his entry for turn 17. Even the curve there, needs to watch out for the red sausage curve on the inside of turn 18. That will unsettle your car and throw you to the outside. But close, very close to Mick, the Red Bull driver. As Mick goes wide out of turn 4, then turn 5. This will be opportunity for Hennas, as he's got a plenty of ERS, and he gets into the slipstream, moves to get alongside to the inside, and he will push him to the outside. Will he get overtake done into Laffield? But Mick wants to come back, forces himself to the inside. The hanger straight now will determine who will be in front by the time we get to Cops. And Mick clings back. He gets his position back. Hennas backs out, doesn't want a Hamilton 2021 Verstappen incident into Cops. Trompy in the battle as well. Trompy wants to go to the inside, but there's not a lot of space for him. And Hennas oversteers too hasty on the throttle, causes him to oversteer into the wall. That goes for Trompy. I'm gonna say it. And through goes Trompy. Mick, 2/10 of a second, he will try and fight his way back. He wants to get himself into the points, or into the uppermost points, as that was a hard fought battle between the three. Hennas, currently sitting in P10, gets himself some DRS. Mick will be a sitting duck, as he's got no DRS for the straight that leads to Brooklands. 6/10 of a second, not another mistake. 7/10 of a second, burning some ERS, wants to get back to Trompy. 2 lap old mediums versus 4-lap-old Hards. That's not a fair fight. Tag Moldy with a 3-second penalty, currently gonna win this race with 0.2 of a second being spared. Ragnarok, that was in quali, did not do that bad. And that's an overtake done for fighting. Tag Fighting gets a pass done into Stowe. Turn 16, 17 on our way. No dive for the RB driver. And then turn 18 up an ultimate turn. Turn 17, then turn 18. Watch out for that sausage curb on the inside. That will cause you to lose a wheel or two. Tag Fighting a new fastest lap at 29.1 on a medium, 2-lap-old mediums. He wants to get Moldy back. He served that 10-second penalty in the pit, so he's cleared of any penalties for the remainder of this race if he manages to keep his wheels within the 2 white lines. 1.5 seconds. That was 2 seconds when lap 20 started. 1.4. 1.3 out of Laffield. Then Woodcut. 1.3 still, but is burning some ERS. And Tag Moldy's got a bit more faster car on the straight, so a bit less of wings. But you can see how the delta falls in Cops, in Maggots and Beckett's, as the high downforce will benefit the drivers in the technical parts. A bit wide for Tag Fighting as he scrapes the undercarriage of the car on that curb. Rhino Horn in P7. He needs to get a few overtakes done in 6 laps to get himself on the podium on the second or first step. Opens the DRS, deploys the ERS, a foot to the floor, and deploying the 1000 horsepower beneath him, but not enough to get himself alongside Tag Jacobs. The Tag Jacobs Mercedes driver is on a streak tonight, getting a few overtakes done, getting into a few nice battles with Happy Teddy Bear. And Tag Fighting needs to get another overtake done. Not actually, as Tag Moldy's got a 3-second penalty. Will he go for the dive to the inside? No. But he will follow Tag Moldy a bit wide. Will he move to the inside and get himself side by side on the back hanger straight? No, he's gonna save up some battery. Rhino Horn wants to get an overtake done, but not managing to be close enough into Brooklands and Laffield. Out of turn 14. On our way to Stowe. Will Tag Fighting be able to get alongside? No, a bit too far. This lap. 5-lap-old Hards versus 3-lap-old mediums. Who will win? Who will be the faster tire by lap 25? Rhino Horn with another lap being sitting still behind the Mercedes driver. Enas P10. He wants to get past the Red Bull driver. 10-16. 10-17. No overtakes being done at the moment. Tag Fighting 0.2 of a second, 1/10 of a second as he moves to the inside, and a defensive measure is thrown to Tag Fighting. But he says, I'll go the long way around as the outside becomes the inside with a switchback attempt out of left field. But not a lot of traction on that Hards as of yet. The medium is still the faster tire. As they go side by side into Cops. Maggots and Beckett's, and Tag Moldy will have the DRS for the back straight. Gets an amazing overtake into turn 10. Opens the DRS. No, Tag Fighting did go over the line behind Tag Moldy as he gets the overtake done into Stowe, but he's not out of the woods yet. as we've still got another overtaking opportunity into turn 16, but not too brave onto the brakes for Tag Moldy. 0.3 of a second between the two drivers. Will we have some excellent racing again? Enas 0.2 of a second behind Mick, but Mick's got a bit more faster car onto the straight. 0.2 of a second, 0.3 of a second between the two front runners. DRS in 150 meter mark, 150 meters, opens it, deploys the ERS, but 0.5 of a second to make up now. But remember, Tag Moldy's got the faster car into the straight, so that will be much needed assistance on the straights, on the DRS zones, to get himself closer and hopefully alongside into the corner and cut himself some slack. 0.5 for Enas against Mick, the Red Bull driver. A few drivers with some penalties, as most of the penalties or warnings are being gained through maggots and beckets, which is the most technical part of this track. 20% battery at his disposal, needs to make 1 second up on this straight. So I think that's it. That's it. If Fighting keeps his cool, keeps his car pointed in the right direction, stays within the two white lines, he will secure himself the top step of the podium for round 21 for 4QM8. 0.5 of a second between Happy Teddy Bear and Jacobs. 0.4. Will there be an overtake done? We'll have to wait and see in a few hundred meters. Your answer will be answered. 0.4. This is the closest he has been in sector 1. The closest he's been out of turn 5. 0.5 of a second now. Not a lot of ERS at his disposal, but he's got the faster car on the straight. He only loses a bit of delta, a bit of time into the corners as we're going to look to Laffield. As we look, that time will be... Okay, it's going the wrong way. It's going down. So 0.2 of a second between the two drivers. Now I'm looking at the wrong... As they go side by side into Brooklands. Then Laffield. Who's going to get the better exit? Is it going to be the medium? Or is it going to be the hard? The medium will be the tire. Starting to struggle now. 2 laps of racing remaining. Nobody's going to send it to the inside out of Cops. That's just a dangerous move. But we've got a driver with DRS. We've got a driver with half a tank of ERS. 1,000 horsepower underneath him. And the will to win. As he opens the DRS, deploys the ERS, foot to the floor, up the gears, as he's not brave enough into Stowe, but another overtaking opportunity. Turn 16, 17, then turn 18. But closer every lap, as the medium will start to struggle now. 1/10 of a second into turn 3, then 4. But he needs to be careful. Happy Teddy Bear is almost within striking range of Death Trap. Almost within DRS with Death Trap. As we head to Brooklands, will he be late onto the break? No, there's no opportunity for him there. But Laffield will be a late braking move for Tag Jacobs in the Mercedes-powered Mercedes. Happy Teddy Bear also in a Mercedes-powered Williams. 3/10, 4/10. He needs to save up some battery. He's got a bit more downforce at his disposal, so foot to the floor. Throw the car into the corners, into the limiter. Clean exits is what you need to get an overtake done into Stowe. 5/10, but Trompe is also gaining, but there's a lot of lag and wobbliness and yo-yo stuff going on there. Tak Jacobs, Trompy, Teddy Bear, and Deathtrap all fighting for P4. Well, Tak Jacobs is in a good position to defend as he's got two drivers with 9 laps old mediums. As lap 26 starts, let's head down to Trompy as he finalizes his gold medal, his top step off the podium, out of Laffield, out of Woldcote, out of the back hanger straight, into Kops, heading down to turn 10. Maggots and Beckett's, one of the most iconic tracks and corners in Formula 1. Turn 14, the far sweeping left-hander, the back straight, one, then Stowe. Our last overtaking opportunity will be into turn 16 and 17. Keep the car cool and out of the curb there as Tak Trompy wins round 21 of 4QM and 8. Ragnarok and Moldy will be trading places because of the... And we've got an overtake done for Tak Trompy on Tak Jacobs with the old mediums. And that will be it for our drivers. Tak Trompy losing out, Deathtrap falling down the grid because of that 10-second penalty. And that's the final flag of the day here at the home of the British motorsport. The engines are cooling down, the trophies are ours, and that is a wrap on an effortless F125 stream. Thank you for watching Greatness in Motion today. Before you go, make sure you drop a follow so you can see me dominate the next track on the calendar. Take notes, drive safe, and I'll catch you on the next commentary.